Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Beatles Forever. Today, we're going to talk about the Beatles and their favorite foods. Beatlemania started out, as we know, in the early 60s, and no one could get enough of finding out about these boys and what they like to eat and drink and what everything Beatles. That's what all the fans wanted to know. So I got curious and I wanted to find out too. So settle in and we'll check out the taste buds of each of John, Paul, George, and Ringo. Well, first we're going to talk about the Beatles as a group, and this is how they all love the same type of food. The first up is fish and chips. Of course, they lived in Liverpool and they saw a lot of this when they were growing up, so this is like comfort food for them. And they said in the interview that the fellas enjoyed thick potato fries served with battered cod, and everything was seasoned with salt and vinegar and wrapped in newspaper. Then, as a drink, they all loved tea. According to a 1965 Playboy article, they always had pots of tea backstage. Plus, in many photos, the band took the time to enjoy a brew no matter where they were, even at the North London recording studio, Abbey Road. Then in the 60s, the middle 60s, the Beatles became vegetarians, but not immediately. An interviewer asked Ringo Starr what the band members liked to eat, and that was in 1964. And Starr said, "We eat steak mainly. Usually if we go out, steak and chips, egg and chips, beans, bacon, chicken." The meat-heavy diet didn't go on for too much longer. George Harrison was the first Beatle to go vegetarian in 1965. They said, though, he loosened his rules later and started, eating more things that weren't considered just vegetables, followed by Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr and sometimes John Lennon. Now, the first individual Beatle that we'll discuss is Paul McCartney. Pre-vegetarian Paul McCartney liked roast beef as well as a dish called chicken Maryland. And in the United States, this dish consists of fried chicken with a thick, creamy gravy. And Paul also loved mashed potatoes with diced onions, chip buddies, 2 generously buttered slices of bread with steak fries and eggs, a certain vegetarian roast, we don't know the name, and fried eggs over easy. And then, according to AskingALot.com, Paul's favorite drink is milk. And then, as an alcoholic drink, there was a pilot who was known to have gotten a recipe for Paul McCartney's margarita. And this is a recipe that Paul handed to the cabin crew in a request for a drink that he liked to drink. So the recipe is 3 shots of white tequila, 1 shot of Cointreau, 1 shot of triple sec, juice from 1 lime, and juice from 1 orange. Shake with only 2 or 3 small ice cubes until melted, and drink turns frothy. Pour into a glass with a salted rim. That sounds pretty interesting. And next, George Harrison. George shared that he especially loved his family's food. He noted, "My father's cooking is first rate, especially when it comes to a roast Sunday dinner." And then Harrison's first wife, Pattie Boyd, also loved to cook. In her autobiography, she mentioned, "I tried to make all sorts of things that I imagined boys from the North would like. Shepherd's pie, roast beef, and Yorkshire pudding." Ironically, she said her husband was rarely hungry. And George Harrison was said to be a devout vegetarian. According to his ex-wife Pattie, he would allow no meat or fowl in his home, but he did love going to a little out-of-the-way fish and chip shop near his home to snack there. According to Pattie Boyd's book, even appetite-free George Harrison sometimes enjoyed a fried egg for breakfast. And for the candy side, as we all know, in this one story that Jelly Babies, George mentioned him innocently in an interview that he liked them, and then fans started throwing him on the stage. So that might have ended his liking of them when they turned into weapons. His favorite drink was beer. Next, Ringo Starr. Ringo Starr preferred eggs to the spicy food that the other band members ate during their spiritual quest in India. Diet also played a role, and the drummer highlighted that he follows a vegetarian diet, and that includes broccoli with every meal, he said in an interview with EFE. He went vegetarian after attending a bullfight in Spain. On July 2nd, 2020, in an interview with the Rolling Stone to mark his milestone birthday, Ringo said, "I'm a vegetarian. I have broccoli with everything and blueberries every morning. I just do stuff that I feel is good for me." And also, Ringo is known to have a sensitive stomach because in his childhood he had a lot of operations and his stomach was affected, so he couldn't eat foods that were spicy and he had to stick to the bland food. Next we have John Lennon. John Lennon's favorite room service snack was cornflakes with cream. They said because he grew up during the war when cream was rationed and it was a rare luxury, so I can imagine he did love that. In an interview, John Lennon said that curry and jelly were his favorite foods. In a radio interview, John said he finished up a 10-day rice-only diet with curry and a milkshake, and he said it was like having every drug he ever touched. When John became a house husband, he loved to make bread, and he gave loaves to everyone he knew. John's favorite drink was a brandy Alexander, and his favorite dessert was chocolate cake. And this is kind of a sad story by Yoko. And Yoko said in the ibtimes.co.uk that John loved chocolate, and at one point I said, "Let's not have any chocolates. Don't even have them in the kitchen," 78-year-old Yoko told presenter Nina Miskow. And then the last weekend before his death, I just went out to get newspapers and a little breather, and I don't know why I thought about it, but I thought I'll get him a bag of chocolates just to surprise him. So I did. He was so surprised, he said, "Are we going to do this? Great." And Yoko said that last weekend I gave him something he loves. And she told the reporter that she used to dislike chocolate, but now she eats it because it reminds her of the former Beatles. So I'm glad that John was able to eat something he really enjoyed before he died. I know this was a shorter video, but I just wanted to present their favorite foods as a video all by itself. And in the next video, I'm going to discuss favorite things that the Beatles like beyond the food section of that. So I hope you'll tune in for that. And thank you for tuning in today. And it's interesting to see what each Beatle liked on the food and drink spectrum. I was a little surprised in some stuff. And I hope you all enjoyed watching. And if you liked the video, please subscribe and give a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate that. Tune in again soon for another episode of The Beatles Forever. Bye.